Hi, and welcome to Good Deeds Real Estate with a Mission, our weekly podcast. I'm Diane Davidson from the Fine Homes Group at Keller Williams, and I'm here with my partner, Bill Weidecker. Hello, Bill.
Hello. You always do such a good job with that. You're getting so much better.
Better at saying my partner? 20 years, ought to do it. Anyway, so we had a great holiday week, and we did promise on our last podcast to do a look back and talk about what happened over the July 4th holiday and the ensuing week. So take it away.
Well, for those that weren't with us last week, what we noticed was that there was this trend of more properties going under agreement than properties coming on the market. There seemed to be a missed opportunity there.
For sellers.
So in talking with our colleagues here, we found that plenty of people did just that. They bought properties over the weekend. They didn't buy any of the properties that weren't on the market. And so to give you a little bit more of an idea of the numbers, we had 165 new listings come on in Hillsborough, Rockingham, and Merrimack County in that week. And we had 230, go under agreement. So you can see we had, for every one new listing that came on, 1.5 went under agreement because buyers are still out there. So the market is still, we still have plenty of buyers. And yet, in that same period, I started to notice something. So it was like, boy, the price changes are up. What's going on there? And so I did a look back. And as of this morning, for the last 30 days, there have been 425 price changes in 30 days. And that's the most I've seen in any 30-day period since prior to the pandemic.
Now, would that be the Hillsborough, Merrimack, and Rockingham County?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's the most populated counties, and which tend to have most of the higher priced properties. Would you say?
That's right.
Okay.
And it's interesting you bring that up because there was an article in this week's Registry Review by Jay Fitzgerald, and he is asserting that Hillsborough and Rockingham counties, the level of appreciation for pricing is starting to it's not keeping up with the level of appreciation in the other counties. And I think it's because, his point is because some of the higher priced property is kind of reaching its peak. And you've got some numbers, that I think bear that out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I really believe that every market, as things start to rise and rise and rise and rise, and they've been going up in price really since it bottomed out in 2013. We haven't had a year where they haven't. Somewhere along the line, you do reach a pinnacle in all markets.
Correct. Yep. So we're seeing certainly more listings than there were, say, a year or so ago, correct?
Oh, yes.
And yet still buyers are outstripping sellers 1.5 to 1 just about every 7-day look back. We're seeing that.
Yeah.
And I look at the numbers statewide, and they're not dissimilar. Same ratios.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we talk a lot about numbers, and I feel like unless you know the anecdotal evidence behind the numbers, you don't always know the whole story. Just like reading a headline, you certainly don't know the whole story. So, and some realtors pay attention to that, and some don't. But I know we were on our team discussing Bedford, for instance. We look at an absorption rate. And in Bedford, for properties $900,000 and up, there's what we call a 6-month supply. And that means, for those who don't know, and for those who do, same thing. It means that if nothing new came on the market, the properties that are in that price band would sell within, say, it would take 6 months for all of them to sell. And 6 months is generally where conventional wisdom suggests that's where the pendulum swings. When you have more than a 6-month supply, it becomes a buyer's market.
Yeah.
Less than 6 months supply, a seller's market. But, when you really dig into the numbers, many of those, and some days, most of those, are properties that have been listed for a long, long time that don't exist. Homes to be built, new construction. And so they really skew the numbers. So numbers without the proper understanding of what's behind them, the proper anecdotal evidence, can be very misleading. So, I think it's important to align yourself with a realtor who looks at that, digs in, understands, and helps you understand. Be that as it may, the headlines are still the headlines. So if buyers hear things like that, they have a certain perception, right? And perception becomes reality. Likewise, sellers, same thing. So I something that that I kind of thought of this morning, and I wanted to share that so people are careful to understand what's behind the numbers.
Yeah, the month supply thing, I'm looking at the state numbers now. The June numbers just came out. And so I always look forward to that because I want to see what all of it tells me in sort of an executive summary. And we were this time last year through June, 1.6 months worth of supply. This year, 2.2. So we know that the inventory statewide has risen. And you think, well, okay, it's essentially 0.6 months. So it's about 2.5 weeks more of supply. But that's, when you look at it as a percentage, it's a 37% increase in supply that's on the market. We're still nowhere near anywhere kind of balanced, Diane. But here's what I think we need to think about is our closed sales year to date in the entire state, while up, is up 0.5%. So last year was not a banner year in the real estate business, partly because there wasn't enough inventory. And while inventory, new listings coming on the market is up year to date 12.5%, sales are up only 0.5%. So there's more inventory that's come on, and yet the market is, while up, still up. That's good news, but not up anything. Yep. Yeah, it's nominal. And the month of June this year compared to last year was down 13.5% this year. All of that said, the pending numbers.
Yeah, that's what I want to know.
All of that said, the pending numbers mean this. Somebody that's got something under agreement and will likely close on it is, for the month of June, was up 8.1%. And year to date, pending numbers are up 3.1%. So I think if those pending numbers hold true through the summer here, that's good news for the market.
Yep.
Always this big caveat. I do the radio program on GIR, and I get this. They laugh at me because I always say we'll see, because I don't. We use our best judgment as to where we think it's going to go, but the market always, even the best predictors of financial markets, are largely kind of guessing. They're reading tea leaves. Mm-hmm. What else would you like to know?
Meteorologists certainly are. What would I like to know? What do you think? So we're pretty much assuming at this point that interest rates will not change much, correct?
Yeah, I think the most recent unemployment numbers came out, and they ticked up a little bit. We do not have the CPI numbers that are due out this week, and when we see those, that will give us some kind of an idea as to what the Fed will do, whether it will be a price adjustment on their Fed funds rate in August or possibly September. The issue regarding the September, it's the end of September, a September adjustment, is I heard Chuck Zotto from the Financial Exchange say, here's the issue. They don't want to get so close to the election so as to be thought, oh, I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing there. It's close to the election. You're lowering the rates. So there may be some, if everything falls in the right direction, they may make an adjustment in August. But I don't believe it's going to be very much. 25 basis points, 0.25%. So I think the market, by the time we get to them lowering the rate, if they do in August, it will be as a result of the CPI numbers that came out this month, and perhaps another report in August that will tell us that they've got kind of a green light to do it.
So you talk about lowering the rate, and I don't know that we've ever talked about this on the podcast, but New Hampshire Housing Finance has some amazing programs, one of which is a grant program for down payments for, I believe it's just for first-time buyers. Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe that's true. And yet, here's the number that sticks in my head. $10,000.
Yeah, $10,000, exactly. So I wanted to say that because there are, I think, first-time buyers perhaps are the most affected by the rates having gone up. And now there's a program where they can apply for a grant for $10,000 for a down payment assistance. And that's really quite dramatic and quite helpful. So I just want to encourage people, if they're buying for the first time, to get in touch with a realtor, maybe someone in the Fine Homes group.
How about definitely?
How about definitely?
But here's the other part of it is it's getting connected with the right people that can get those grants for you.
Yep.
And we have those connections.
Yep.
So, I will say with regard to pricing, maybe a final wrap on this part of our podcast is prices are still up. So year to date, our prices are up 8.5% in the entire state. And that's not the double-digit appreciation that we've seen in the last few years, but still up. And the month of June this year compared to last year, down 8.5%.
Interesting.
So year to date, we're up 8.5%, including the down 8.5% for last month. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, because that could be 1 month is not enough for me to say, or for us to say, this is a trend. But I think we should keep an eye on it.
I think it's enough to say we'll see.
We'll see.
Okay. Well, we'll see you. So that's it. Yes.
That is
a wrap.
Yes.
Thank you, partner. Thanks for supporting us and tuning in. Be sure to follow us on your favorite podcast platform or subscribe to our YouTube channel.